Our funding is broke down. There's a specific 1.5 mills that the school district is elected to levy and has levied for about probably 15 years. That money is restricted for capital outlay items. We buy school buses with it. We buy computers. We can do that. Since 2007-8, our property tax values countywide has dropped by about 30-35%. We had the property values remain constant, no increases, no nothing, with no other changes except the pure drop in property values, we would have $1 million in the bank right now that is not available for these things that we're talking about here. The declining enrollment is a very real issue. We have about a $28 million operating budget. We levy probably $4.5 million of local tax funds, and then the rest of those funds come from the state. So for every student number that we lose or a decline in enrollment, that's about $6,200. That's the full-time equivalent in numbers that we use. And so as our numbers have dropped, we've lost industry within the county. There's a reason for the declining property values. As that has gone away, we have to be able to make adjustments and prepare for the future on that. Some of the big picture things that you have is the high stakes testing that we talk about. Whether we agree with them or not, the state's going forward with them. When you have high stakes testing, part of the process that goes with that, it's all computerized. When you start, and we have about 3,500 students right at that, you cut on 3,500 devices, you better have the bandwidth to provide for that or it all slams down. We often have, the textbooks. It's the discussions that we have today. We have classes that don't have textbooks anymore. It's all digital. It's online. And it's something that we must prepare our students for the future. That is the wave of tomorrow. So the items that we buy, whether it's computer, it's handheld devices, it's tablets, the bandwidth that we have to tie back into the state for testing, all of these are a necessity for 21st century education. And part of that, while it's for the 21st century, it's not for free. We're still, just like your phone line at the house costs certain things, our bandwidth, as it gets closer and closer to what we need, we're running, even as we speak right now, $30,000 a month for bandwidth phone lines. The necessity of this, and this is coming as a father of a student. She's a senior, and as she gets ready to go into the real world, if we want to call it that, whether it's a career or a college, she has to be prepared for this. All of the things that you do anymore, they're not simple. Everything is very digital, everything is computer, everything has to go there. And they have to have access to it so they're not intimidated by it, they've been exposed to it, they're aware of what they're looking at and what they're talking about. The pieces, and we talk about, a lot of the things that's going on today, the Florida standards, whether we agree with those or not, they're there. And there's a purpose for those. One of the biggest examples that you use is farming. You almost have to be an engineer to be a farmer anymore, just because of the complexity of the tractors and of the tools and of the things that you face, being able to understand total weather reports, being able to see what's coming, all of our smartphone devices that can provide instant information, you have to be able to use them. You have to be aware of what they can do and the purpose for them. Probably the short, sweet answer at the very beginning of the 10 years is what we would be looking at is to increase bandwidth, to make certain that we have the consistent, steady bandwidth that we need for testing purposes. And then, of course, as our computers that we already have on site, as we do those, you may have seen the initials Bring Your Own Device, BYOD. The state at one point in time had a one-to-one initiative that was going on. They wanted one student to one device, whether that's a tablet, a handheld device, a smartphone, whatever. That was the goal of the state. Now they've backed off somewhat slightly on that, but it is still that's necessity. The education for the entire district is at stake here as far as even of the future of everything. Whether you have a student here, whether you're a retiree, whether it has not been you involved closely with the system, maybe your students have already finished, education is tomorrow. And the students that are going through there today, they are tomorrow, and they have to be provided for, and we have to make them ready. And we have to make them ready for what they see. I very much strongly believe in this half-cent sales tax. I recognize that people don't like taxes, and they just think that, is this something that we're going to waste about? In this case, for the benefit of our students and the future of the school district, I strongly support and advocate this half-cent sales tax. I'm Joe Taylor, and I appreciate again for you reviewing this information that we have here. If you still have issues, if there's questions, if there's concerns, whether it's you as an individual or you're aware of groups or there may be others who are asking you questions, by all means, please contact us. Contact us at the district office, 850-638-6222. We have a website, Washington County School District. All of our schools have websites which tie back in and connect to the district website. All that information is readily available. Feel free to call me. I will be happy to talk with you directly as an individual. I would be happy to meet with any of the groups that may have very real concerns and spell this out in more greater detail.